Hello again, everybody. So we got another mission today, and that is to stop this black pawn from promoting. It's one step away. It's blocked right now by his own knight, but when the knight moves, this pawn will promote. And if it does, well, we will not win this as white. So the question is, of course, how are we going to stop this and then win the game? As normal, as always, you now pause your video, analyze this on your own, and see if you can find the variation that leads to a victory for white. Go ahead. And welcome back. Okay, did you see it? Well, let's look at some quick options here. If we try to stop it with a rook to h2 to attack it, well, black will do a sacrifice of his knight, and when we take it, he will promote to a queen, and we are losing. So, rook cannot stop it. If the bishop tries to stop it like this, well, again, very nice sacrifice with the knight, followed by a promotion. And we are again losing this. And of course, we have to look at the other bishop move to attack this pawn. It will be the same. He will sacrifice his knight, followed by a promotion, and we are not winning. Okay, so what if we try to move our king somewhere? Maybe somewhere where it can't be checked. King h2 to guard here, the d1 square. Well, it turns out it's not going to be good enough. Black will play knight to f2 still, attacking our rook. And when we move it, well, he's going to promote, and we are forced to sacrifice our rook here, which is, of course, not winning for white either. So it turns out we cannot really stop this pawn right now. So instead, we have to attack the black king first and see what happens. So the correct starting move is rook to h7 check. And after that, black has four options: going down or up with his king. Well, depending on from what perspective you look at. So, okay, if he goes to either f8 or f6, something like this, then we have a very nice little option. Then we can play the rook to h2. Now we are attacking the pawn. And if the knight plays to f2 as before, well, we can grab it with a check and a tempo, which means we will grab the pawn as well. And obviously, we are winning this very easy. So after the initial rook check, black cannot go to the f file somewhere. He has to stay on the e file, up or down. So we narrow it down to two different variations here. Let's look at them both. If the king comes to e6, can you see how white continue from here to win this game? If you need, pause the video again. All right, here we go. Well, just to check isn't enough. We are still not really attacking this pawn good enough. So we're going to give another check. And look at this. Again, of course, if it comes to f7 or f5, it will be the same. We play the rook to h2 and we win from there. So, and it cannot go up here. So he's forced to go back, which means we have the same situation as before, but we moved our rook to h6 instead of h8, which is, of course, a much better place. And after king e7, now we can continue with another check here on d6 with the bishop. Again, if he moves to f7, you know what happens. Rook to h2 is winning, so he has to go down, but he cannot go to d8. Obviously, that's a checkmate in one. And if he goes to e8, what happens then? Well, now we don't have to bother about this pawn at all, because we will simply play rook to f6. And look at this. He cannot stop rook to f8 checkmate in the next move. So, backing down a bit now. After the first check here on a7, now we covered everything what happens if it goes up to e6. So let's see what happens if it goes down to e8 instead. Now it's a different story. How do we checkmate here or grab this pawn? Again, here's another chance for you to pause the video and have a look at it yourself. All right, here we go. So same as before, we are not really getting anything out of this rook here on h7, and we don't want the black king to be on a light square, so we give another check. And I don't have to tell you now what happens if it goes to f7. You know that by now. We go to h2 and we win this. So the black king is forced to e7, and now we get the chance to get another check from the bishop here on the dark square, d8. Obviously, again, I don't have to tell you, he's not going there, so it's either there or here. If he goes to, let's say, we start with this, e6. Now it's actually two different moves that wins. The easiest is just another check here, and maybe comes, doesn't matter where it goes, and then we can put our rook on e2, and this pawn will fall, and if it falls, well, then we have a rook up. Even though it's two pawns here, it's no chance for black to survive that. So then we look at what happens if he goes to d6. He doesn't want our rook to come down here, not on e2, not on e2, h2 I mean, or e2. So okay, we have to do something else. And it seems like it's just perpetual checks, but it's actually the correct move now, and the only correct move is another check. Rook h6, and we're building up something here. You see, of course, that he cannot come here. It's guarded, so he's forced to go to either dark square c5 or e5. Let's start with c5. Now we have something. We have the king on the dark square, which means now we can actually attack this pawn. The winning move from here is bishop to g5. Now we will grab this pawn. Before, black was able to sacrifice his knight like this, but he cannot do it anymore because we will take it with a check, and after that we will grab the pawn as well. So that is winning. Okay, let's look at what happens if the king comes to e5 instead. I guess you see it. It's just the same variation, but on the other side. Now we'll play bishop a5 instead, attacking this pawn. It will fall. Black knight cannot come to c3. It will be the same, a check, and then we grab it. So I would say after king d6 and we check here on h6, I would say this study is solved. Black will lose his pawn within a couple of moves, and after that I'll leave it up to you to find the best variation to win. If not, black resigns, which he should do. All right, thank you everybody for watching this little study and this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.